Hi everyone. First of all, a big thank you to all of you who have already found my channel. It is really quite inspiring. Now, in the commentary fields for the previously published episodes, there have been some questions that I thought might be of interest for me to answer. So, here is my first Q&A, or questions and answers. One such question is about the abbreviations BCE and CE that I use on my timelines. Another subject that has been the source of much discussion under the episode about Phaleron is about the amount of iron that was available in the 7th century BCE. I shall also comment on the eruption date of Vesuvius that was stated in the episodes about Villa Giuliana. And lastly, I will make a few remarks on the symbol that I use in the intro to my videos. Let us start with a, to some apparently infected question about the abbreviations BCE and CE. I am your host Morten Eriksson. Welcome to Ancient History. It stands for Before Common Era and Common Era. They do, however, not change the calendar in any way and are perfectly interchangeable with BC, that is, before Christ, and AD, that is, Anno Domini, or the year of our Lord in English. For me, the reason for using BCE and CE is just a habit, so there is not much more to it than that. Nonetheless, there can be made some arguments about the use. And to make these arguments, we need to go back to the point of year 1, no matter if one believes that Christ was ever born or not. In the time where we place year 1, calendar time was not counted in numeric dates, but rather in Rome in the year of the preceding consuls. What we think of as year 1 was in Rome the year of Gaius Caesar, grandson of Augustus, and Aemilius Pullus, or in another system counting the years from the foundation of Rome. The consul method, among others, were used all the way up until the year 525, when the monk Dionysius Exiguus wanted to calculate a new Easter calendar and did not wish to base it on the calendar of Diocletianus, who were the last emperor to prosecute Christians. Hence, Dionysius started to try to retrace the years and landed on a starting point 525 years earlier. I will leave out the discussion about how he arrived at the year 525, but I can say that Dionysius does not himself say what events, etc. he related his own counting to. And here is one of the arguments for the use of BCE and CE. But I will return to those soon. The Anglo-Saxon historian Bede used the abbreviation AD in 731, and also the phrase ante incarnationis Dominicae tempus anno, which is a way of saying before the birth of Christ. The abbreviation AD itself, however, took time to be generally used and was not common use in Europe until somewhere between 1100 and 1400 AD. The use of the term BC as a standard, on the other hand, is much newer, and it is in fact not until the 1700s that it becomes really popularized. It comes from the Latin term ante Christum. Before that, a myriad of different terms was used to state the counting of the years before year 1. Now onwards to BCE and CE. These are not as new as one might think. The expression can be traced back as early as 1615, when it appears in a book by Johannes Kepler in the form Annus Ariae Nostrae Vulgaris, or the year of our common era, in contrast to the year of the king. The term vulgar era is used in 1635, and the English term common era, or CE, first appears in 1708. To conclude, throughout the centuries there have been a plenitude and non-standardized ways of naming the times before and after year 1. It is not until the 19th century that BC and AD really were standardized globally in different languages. Before that, different authors used different terms. And at the same time, BCE and CE were already being used by academics. And more importantly, the base for Dionysius Exiguus counting is extremely vague. And even more troublesome is, if there in fact was a Christ born, the years do not add up. The use of BCE and CE can therefore be argued for even from a religious point of view. For even if 1 AD marks the first year of our calendar, it does most likely not mark the first year of the life of Christ. In any case, feel free to use whatever system you like. Now on to the eruption of Vesuvius. Most of us in school was taught that the eruption took place on the 24th of August in the year 79 CE. This date is based on a translation from 1508 of a letter between Plinius the Younger and Tacitus. However, this date has always been troublesome to historians and archaeologists. Manuscript experts believe the date might have been corrupted, with the last possible date being November 23rd. The general disorder in Roman calendar versions does not help either. The archaeological finds in Pompeii suggests a much later date. This concerns finds both of clothing on the victims, which are generally too thick for the hot summer months, and of different harvested crops, nuts and seeds, that in August would not yet have been harvested, but rather later in the year, in the autumn. In October 2018, Italian archaeologists found an inscription, made in coal, in Pompeii, stating the date October 17th, which means that the eruption most likely happened at that date or after it. Thirdly, let's re-examine the skeletons at Phaleron, who were buried with the iron shackles on. Many viewers have asked if iron was not rare at the time, and hence it would be strange to leave the shackles on the bodies. The short answer is no. The fact is, metal was not rare. Both bronze and iron and steel were common goods in the Mediterranean by this time, especially iron and steel. By now we are well into the Greek Iron Age. The famous Bronze Age had started about 3200 BCE and lasted until the so-called Bronze Age collapse in about 1100 BCE. Before this, human cultures had not really had the ability to process iron, although they certainly knew of it. But it requires much higher temperature to melt and more advanced methods to purify. Melted iron starts to occur more frequently in about 1300 BCE. Earlier dated iron objects seem to have been meteoric iron, that is, iron from meteors that had been hammered out. Such finds exist in both Egypt and Anatolia. For example, a total of 19 meteoric iron objects were found in the chamber of Tutankhamun. With the Bronze Age collapse, the flow of tin is disrupted, and during this time cultures learn how to process iron. And while the cover of the shields, the helmets and the harnesses of the classical Greek hoplite armor are usually made of bronze, the weapons are more likely, especially the swords, to be made out of iron. As an example, all swords in the form of xiphos, the common hoplite sword, that has been found have been made of iron. No bronze xipher have yet been found. And as for the availability, think of all these harnesses and helmets. Think of the heavy bronze rammers on the ships, of all the sword finds and so forth from this time. Hence, it is probably not anything out of the ordinary that executed victims were left with rude iron shackles, covered in blood, gore and brain substance after death. And lastly about the figure I use in the intro. Some time back, I got a question from a gentleman, and I somewhat uncarefully answered that it was Athena and her helmet. But there is more to be said about this incarnation of Athena. First of all, the picture shows Athena and was found during archaeological excavations in Thessaloniki. It is a bronze medallion that once was among the decorative elements of a Macedonian chariot, probably belonging to a prominent aristocrat or even a member of the royal family. It originates in the 2nd century BCE. On her head, Athena is wearing a helmet in the form of the cut-off head of the Gorgon Medusa. According to mythology, the head was given to her by the hero Perseus and became a source of protection for Athena. The difference between the calm, cut-off head and Athena's living features is striking. The face of Medusa, in different aspects, over time came to be a protecting symbol throughout the Greco-Roman cultures. On her shoulders we can also see the mythical Aegis, a golden kind of scale mail protecting her, or as the Iliad has it, it produced sound as from a myriad roaring dragons, and was borne by Athena in battle. And among them went bright-eyed Athena, holding the precious Aegis, which is ageless and immortal. 100 tassels of pure gold hang fluttering from it, tight woven each of them, and each the worth of 100 oxen. Thank you for watching this Q&A episode. If you like my videos, hit that like button, share a link with your friends, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to contribute for me to make even better documentaries about the past in the future, please consider joining me at Patreon. I've put a link to my site in the description below. See you soon.